Well, hello everybody. Sorry for being 2 hours late. One of those days. Hard day in the market. Very volatile, very scary for many people. And I realize frustrations are very, very high. I just want to say thank you to Martello and Doc Intern and BD McGee and Sean Donnelly, American Beijinger, K8. Thank you for all coming. Let's jump into the story. There's some interesting stuff to uncover today. The big question is, are we at peak crypto? We're definitely at peak emotions. The emotions right now are like the bottom of the bear. Um, and yes, altcoins have been hit hard. Remember, allocations matter. Keep your big allocations to the safest assets, tiny allocations to risky stuff. And I realize frustration is sky high. But today's story, we'll see. Do we know who Satoshi is? Let's look at some on-chain numbers. Let's try get into if we are at peak cycle or not. Because I tell you, people are frustrated like it's nothing but down from here. And we'll try get to the bottom of the story and a ton of other stuff. AI news, some stock news, some proxy news, some big MicroStrategy news, and so much more. And this is not financial advice, and this is produced by Patreon. Thank you as well. This is from Kev F. Best thing I did this year was join Patreon. Thank you, Kevin, for being here and helping make this all possible. Let's start with the ugly news. Only a little bit of ugly news, but as usual, the unlocks are coming. And I know there's a Solana unlock coming. It's 2%. Everybody's been freaking out about this for 6 months now. I'm tired of hearing about it. But just to put things in perspective, these are some of the unlocks coming from other names. We have some big ones here. The ENA always, a thing called MRS, never heard of that, 12%. Immutable X, 1.4%. Mora, 2%. Optimism, 2%. See, Optimism has a 2% unlock, and nobody cares because nobody's in it. Solana has a 2% unlock, and people lose their minds for 6 months. SUI, 1%. DYDX, 1.14%. Caspa, 0.63%, etc. Unlocks are a normal part of life. But again, people are freaking out, and it is taking a toll on the Solana price, but that's okay. Gives me a chance to stack a little bit more. Anyhow, let's get into the bad news, ladies and gentlemen. And I've got my camera off because I poked myself in the eye. So, my bad. That's one of those days. Anyway, last 7 days against Bitcoin. All the assets, of course, Bitcoin is flat. XRP and Litecoin are up. It's weird. The blasts from the past are going counter to the rest of the market. ETH down, Sol down, Cardano down, everything all over the place. Very mixed. In terms of last 7 days in fiat terms, again, Bitcoin only down fractionally, 1%. You'd swear it fell 10%, but nope, only 1% since last week. XRP up 5%. Sol down a whopping 15.79%. It's been hard, but we'll get into some Sol detail as well later. And again, crypto does not reflect logic or fundamentals. Yet. It will one day, but not yet. Let's look at money flow, because that is sometimes reflected. We had the first red week for the Bitcoin ETFs and other assets institutions in 6 weeks, which is not good. They saw the first significant outflows, about $400 million, after 19 weeks of crazy big inflows. 19 weeks, ladies and gentlemen. And that pulled in $30 billion. Yes, we gave $400 million back, but we pulled in $30 billion. I want to put my little Austin Powers finger in my mouth when I say that. 30 billion, one more time. Flows by asset, really interesting. This got me a little bit. Patterns and things going counter to the market. We saw Bitcoin dropping 430. Remember, 440 fell out of the market. All of that was Bitcoin. Ethereum only 7.2 out. But Solana, 9 million in. XRP, 8.5 million in. SUI, 6 million in. That's the biggest SUI flow I've ever seen, ladies and gentlemen. I own SUI and Solana. And the question is, could this be the beginning of an AltSeason? I don't know. But these things are very, very oversold right now. And that's just a fact of life, at least on a mean reversion basis. Hell yeah, they are. Now, a quick reminder of why we do not love fiat. There is infinite fiat around, ladies and gentlemen. This is a cool chart. Shout out to Carl Menger who put this together. USM2 money supply since 1960, up and to the right, now nearly 22 trillion of it. And remember, Bitcoin only has 21 million, of which I will always claim 5 million are lost. There'll never be more than 15 million, maybe 16 million. And people are losing their Bitcoin every single day. But the money supply for Bitcoin is extremely hard, like no other asset on the planet. Now, a little bit of macro perspective. And this was also inspired by Carl Menger. This shows you, and again, we're looking at it. This is a dirty shirt in the laundry, but the US dollar is the least dirty shirt. Others are a lot worse. If you look at the Indian Rupee to US dollars over the past, well, since 2010 or so, you can see it is tanked down from 0.025 down to nearly 0.012. And remember, the dollar is weak sauce, but the rupee is even weaker. And I hope our friends in India are saving in Bitcoin, not saving in dollars, saving in Bitcoin, because that can protect them. Remember, we're comparing one piece of garbage to another, and one even tanks against the other. And that inspired me to think of a little concept, an idea. Just thinking of India. And fun fact, if 1% of India bought one Bitcoin, it's all gone. Remember, 1% of the Indian population is 1.5 billion people. If they were all to buy one Bitcoin each, that's it. There will never be more than 15 million Bitcoin because so many are lost. I've said that many times. And no, it's not hopium. Remember, India has a very large and growing middle class. And the question is, if 1% of one country's population decided to buy one Bitcoin, they can't. That's the story. It's gone. It's scarce. And another piece of, I call this bad news because I don't think we ever want to find out who Satoshi Nakamoto is. But this is from Cointelegraph. And they have a new theory that they claim Jack Dorsey is who is the co-founder of Twitter, is Satoshi Nakamoto, citing his cryptography background, his timestamp habits, and surprising Bitcoin launch date connections to his personal life. Even Satoshi's 2009 RSC login matched Dorsey's location in California. Super interesting. And Bitcoin's first transaction occurred on... This is the last piece here. I'm quoting stuff now that is not from the Cointelegraph article, but just stuff that I was digging into. But on January 11th, 2009, that was Jack Dorsey's mother's birthday. The last block believed to be mined by Satoshi was then. And then March 5th, 2010 aligned with his father's birthday. So, no, the first transaction, I think, was his mother's birthday, and the last transaction was his father's birthday. And Dorsey, however, has denied saying it. He was in a Lex Friedman interview in 2020, and he said, "Are you Satoshi?" He said, "No, and if I were, would I inform you?" ? His response, while cryptic, it doesn't settle the debate. But we shall see where this goes. I think this is very interesting. And, of all the people, though, to be Satoshi Nakamoto, I think Jack Dorsey would be a good choice. He's a solid individual. Now, time to get into the good news. First of all, fear and greed is neutral. It's not fearful. And neutral's okay. So I put that into the good news category. Let's check in on AltSeason. We're kind of still edging towards Bitcoin. We've been hovering around this 45 to 50 now for nearly 2 months. It's crazy. And Bitcoin is strong. But when we see how it compares to other assets over the last month, the top 50 assets, on the right-hand side, you've got a bunch of stuff. Pepe, Trump, Render's down there, Hedera's down there, getting completely hammered. And on the left, you've got things like OM, and I don't even know what that is, Hype, up as well a lot. And Bitcoin, down 8.1% for the month. So it hasn't been that good. But because so many names are getting so hammered, people are losing faith and getting very frustrated. So the question is, are we at peak cycle, ladies and gentlemen? Let's check. This is from Bitcoin Magazine Pro. And it has two big takeaways here from the MVRV Z-score, which we talk about pretty much every week. But when it's really low, around 0, that's when you stack hard. That's when you buy Bitcoin. That for me was under $42,000. That's when you buy it. Now, cycle peaks historically are when the MVRV is above 7, upwards to 10. All right, we haven't gotten anywhere near that right now. We're at about 2.5 as we speak. And historically, for a peak to happen, we need to get higher, at least to 6, 7 or so. And we are not there, nowhere near there. So again, the data says we are not at peak. Therefore, all should be fine. We have a long way to run. It's just an uncertain time with macro, with the war, with tariffs, with the new administration, and markets hate uncertainty. Also, inflation is raising its head. There are some recessionary fears, so it's all pretty ugly out there from a macro perspective. And that's keeping the lid on risk on assets, also on Bitcoin. And that's where we are. Now let's check in on some more Bitcoin data. This is the strategic Bitcoin Reserve States of America. We're up to 32 states. And just a quick color code chart here. Red is rejected. North Dakota said, no, we don't want Bitcoin. Okay, who cares? Shout out to anybody up in North Dakota. I'm not sure why they made that decision. The green states are the ones that are introducing it. And the yellow states, I think, are kind of in progress. And the gray ones are nothing yet. So again, baby steps, it's going to happen. The dominoes will fall. That's guaranteed. Now, what happens when they do? Then many of these states may have to go to OTC desks or buy from IBIT, which will have to go to the OTC desk to fill their boots. And you can see, here we are. I put together this daily chart now. I'll do it every single week. Some people don't know why I do it. I think it's very important to keep a track on how much supply there is available to the big buyers of Bitcoin. And you can see here the OTC desks, since I measured it last, are up 6,000 Bitcoin to 126,000 Bitcoin. But there's a big buyer coming in. We'll talk about that in a second. The OTC desks did add 6,000 Bitcoin over the last 7 to 10 days. And the biggest player here is Coinbase Prime. They added 4,617 Bitcoin. And they hold 65,511, which is nearly over half of the old bag. Genesis Trading has 14,000, Galaxy 11,000. And then if we look at Wintermute, 926 Bitcoin. That's all they have. Marty talks a lot about Wintermute, manipulating markets, but they can't really do much with that amount of Bitcoin. Now, let's talk about narratives. Narratives are critical. When you invest, follow the narratives, but try to get in before they pump is important. We're going into a big AI narrative play that could last for years, so be positioned there. But real-world assets is still so far year to date the only real bright spot in the crypto space. Store of value is there, up 7.8%. Bitcoin is up year to date only 0.9%, and Ethereum is down a whopping 21%. That is ugly. It's not getting better for Ethereum, which I'll share on a chart as well why it's not. But first of all, good news, stablecoins break $200 billion and they're off to the races. The amount of USDC, which is Circle, that has been printed is insane. Circle has just gone from strength to strength. That's the blue here in the chart. And now they're at about $56 billion of market cap. Tether, $145 billion. Combined, over $200 billion now. And if you take Tether and Circle combined, that's $201 billion. And the rest are just crumbs. So, as usual, as you always hear me say, winners take most. That's how it works. And there is no more profound chart that says winners take most. In fact, I should have called this video winners take most. Is this chart here? No other blockchain comes close. Solana is eating all of Web3, Solana dApps now command 75% of all crypto revenue, all chains. Solana dApps. And this shows Solana's dominance as the undisputed leader in revenue generation and adoption and transactions and users and breadth of dApps and all that good stuff. Solana dApps also set a new record in January, pulling in nearly two-thirds of $1 billion in revenue, over 660 million in revenue, which is a new record benchmark for any blockchain. And even more crazy, the Solana dApps posted 24x year-over-year revenue growth. And yeah, I know the price sucks, but I maintain this chain is drastically undervalued. The market cap of Ethereum, circulating market cap, is 4.125 times that of Solana. But Solana does everything. Ethereum is in purple here. It's dwindling away to nothing. And it's still more than 4 times the value of Solana. Doesn't make any sense, but as I said at the beginning, yeah, crypto doesn't. And I know people say Solana's only memes. No, it's not. It's stablecoins, it's DEX volume, it's perp volume, etc. And some memes too, of course. Now, speaking of perp volume, you can see here Jupiter. Jupiter revenue 10x'd in just a year, which is also crazy growth. And the protocol revenue reached an all-time high of nearly, I think, $27 million, led by perps and the emergence of the new Ultra Swaps mode. That's the green piece of the bar there. And also remember, they're making a ton of revenue in fees, and they're using 50% of that to buy back Jupiter, which will hopefully bring about some price appreciation. But remember as well, all value capture is at the app layer. You know, I used to say years ago, back in the 90s, there's no money in pipes when people were buying things like COVID, whatever the high bandwidth carrier was. I can't remember. It's so long ago. It's 30 years nearly. Anyway, credit Westy Capital for this image. But the consensus right now is the vast amount of value will accrue to the crypto applications, not the protocols they're built on. And we're seeing this play out in real time, especially here. And everybody is building on the green one, which is Solana. And that's just a reality. Let's get into some stocks and some MicroStrategy news as well, which is big. This is stocks the last 7 days, and Apple is back. There was some excitement that they're coming out with a new product. I haven't been tracking it. Maybe it did come out. I think it's supposed to come out today. But again, it must be quite astounding. Actually, I should check that. Nvidia up 4%, Tesla up 1% for the week, Amazon down 3%. Microsoft flat, considering the Grok 3 news, which you'll get to in a second. But first, MicroStrategy. Anybody who watches this channel owns MicroStrategy and has been the top performing stock since 2020. But last week, Michael Saylor did not buy any Bitcoin, nor did they dilute, and nor did they use their ATM offering, etc. And the average price that they have now paid for all of their Bitcoin, which is nearly 480,000, is 65,000 per Bitcoin. But this just came out right before I went live. And MicroStrategy proposes a private offering of $2 billion of convertible senior notes, which means they will be oversubscribed. They'll probably put in 2.5, 2.6 billion, and they'll use that to buy Bitcoin. And you know what that means. That's another, call it 25,000 Bitcoin. And as I promised, that within 3 weeks, they'd be above 500,000 Bitcoin, and this will make that happen. They are buying this stuff like it's going out of fashion. And again, they're pulling so much from the market that they're denying a lot of whole corners in the process. Let's check in on our Hodl model. You can see the NAV premiums here are some of the lowest we've seen in a long time. Marathon is 1.27. That means if you invest $1 in Marathon, you get about 79 cents worth of Bitcoin back. Genius Group, I covered in the Q&A a week or two ago, 69 cents per dollar. And Semler, 63 cents per dollar. MicroStrategy, 54 cents per dollar. And this assumes no intrinsic value, just their Bitcoin bag multiplied by price divided by the market cap in real time. And that's what's happening. And there's a lot more. This list is going to get really long. I'm going to add some more like Galaxy and others and see if there's any good ARB opportunities for us as well. Now, Tesla's on the list, but it's a small bag compared to the market cap. But Elon Musk says, I don't know what's happening with my voice. I'm losing it. xAI's Grok will be launching in Tesla vehicles soon. And what's profound about this is not just you'll be able to speak to the most powerful AI on the planet, but you'll be able to do it from your car, and your car will be able to help you solve problems as you drive, which is fantastic. And Grok 3 did launch last night at 8 p.m. Pacific, and they shared their benchmarks. Basically, the new Grok 3 destroys all the other players in math, science, and coding. That's it. It's game over. And not only are they better, smarter, but also faster in terms of time to compute. And that's it. ChatGPT is dead. And this is available for many out there, and game over. Plus, the other thing is they're going to 5x the amount of compute that they have in the coming 6 months or so, I think, which is will put them even further ahead. And this thing learns itself, and it's going to be untouchable. Now, before my voice completely packs in, here, this is a quick chart from Bloomberg of the top 3 oil producers in the world. Not too long ago, the U.S. was not top. Saudi Arabia was. I think Russia was too, but now the U.S. is top of the world, producing about 20 million barrels of oil per day. Saudi Arabia and Russia are second and third. And remember, I think there's a meeting coming up between Russia and the U.S. in Saudi Arabia. So no such thing as coincidence, but oil will probably be part of the conversation as well. And energy fuels the world for now until we can find alternative sources of energy. So with that, everybody, sorry about my voice and condition today. Recap of all these videos. Thank you to the team that put these Substacks together, all the slides, etc. You can listen to it. And hope you like the content. And thank you to everybody for coming and being here. Hope I didn't miss anybody. Thank you, Sean Donnelly and Swiper, No Swiping, and the whole gang. Thank you all. Hopefully I'll be 100% again tomorrow. Well, I'm still 100%. I can't speak. That's all. I'm going to make it. Okay. Good night, everybody. See you soon.